Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, again, bandits abduct unspecified number in Zamfara as governor seeks increased military presence. Federal government seeks dismissal of illegal firearm possession charges against suspended CBN governor. Northern Elders Forum seeks suspension of sanction on Niger Republic, cautions against use of force to restore constitutional order. And away from Nigeria, West African military chiefs to discuss Niger crisis Thursday and Friday in Ghana. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. We begin with security, where suspected terrorists on Tuesday invaded Jambako communities in Zamfara State and abducted an unspecified number of people. A resident of the community, Sani Abubakar, told Trust TV that the suspected terrorists stormed the troubled community at about 1 a.m. when residents were sleeping. The local narrated that the terrorists, however, did not fire sporadic gunshots throughout the operation. Trust TV gathered that an unspecified number of residents, who were mostly women and children, were whisked away by the terrorists to an unknown location. Meanwhile, the Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has called for more military presence and intervention to tackle insecurity in the state. Governor Lawal made the call when he received the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, at the Government House, Gusau. A statement by the governor's spokesman, Suleiman Idris, said that the army chief had a very lengthy discussion with the governor on how to improve synergy and foster ways to combat the menace of banditry in the state. Lieutenant General Lagbaja assured the governor that in a few weeks there would be an aggressive military operation in Zamfara State. Residents of Jama'are Pandisho in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State are gripped by fear since the abduction of an Islamic cleric, Abubakar Musa, by suspected kidnappers. According to the community, the kidnappers stormed the area last week, abducting Abubakar Musa, his wife, son, and a baby that was just delivered. Trust TV's Bello Musa visits the community along Kaduna Zaria Road and reports that the community is coming to terms with the devastating abduction of the cleric. The report.
Jama'ar Pandisho is a community neighboring Marabanjos in the outskirts of the Kaduna metropolis. Abubakar Musa just relocated from Kawa in the metropolis to the community after building his own house. Aliyu Abdullahi is a neighbor to Abubakar Musa, and he is the bricklayer that helped build the house for the victim. He narrates how the ugly incident happened. It happened on Monday about 12:30 a.m. The loud bang on his wall woke us all. He pleaded with them to leave him, but they continued hitting the wall. And so he opened the door, and they asked Malam Abubakar and his family to go with them. But he begged them to leave his wife, who just had a baby, so that they can take him and his son. But they insisted that they must go with all of them, including the newborn baby. After leaving the house of Malam Abubakar, they went and broke the shop of his neighbor and abducted all of them. They operated while it was raining for almost 2 hours, and they did not fire a single shot during the operation. The house has been deserted since the abduction of the owner. These animals he looks after are obviously missing him. Although he could not come out to help his neighbor, but Abdullahi was able to spot the abductors while peeping through his window. We could not do anything to help him because I saw between 5 and 7 of them carrying rifles. He taught us Islamic and the Western education. We are still living in fear and devastated by his abduction. He says, due to financial constraints, Abubakar Musa had to spend about a decade before he could complete building his house in the small community outside Kaduna City. He labored and suffered before building his house, to the extent that he had to secure loan from people because I was the bricklayer who built the house, and still owing some debtors. We are pleading with the abductors to release them, especially his wife, who was even bleeding after delivery when they kidnapped her.
This is the residence of Malam Abubakar, who was abducted here by the suspected kidnappers, along his wife and his 10-year-old son, and also an infant of 7 hours after delivery. From Jama'are Pandisho in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State, Bello Musa reporting for Trust TV News.
Thank you, Bello, for that report. Now, still on security, gunmen have killed 2 secondary school teachers and injured a vice principal of Beko Comprehensive High School in Kwi community of Riam local government area of Plateau State. The deceased, Ruang Danladi and Sandra Ruang Danladi, were a couple who recently got married. The spokesperson of Biram Youth's Molder Association, Ruang Tengwang, who confirmed the incident on Tuesday, said the victims were killed on Monday when the staff of the school were holding a meeting in preparation to a speech and prize giving day scheduled to hold on Friday. The group accused Fulani herders of killing the teachers, explaining that the herders opened fire on the staff of the school when they were asked to leave the school compound while the meeting was going on. But the state chairman of the Gang Allah Fulani Development Association, Garba Abdullahi, denied the allegation, saying the killing was not carried out by Fulani herders, adding that herders were not grazing around the said school, calling on security to investigate the matter and fish out the perpetrators of the act. The spokesperson of the State Police Command, DSP Alabo Alfred, is yet to respond to the inquiry on the matter by the correspondent. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Bala, and the Governor of Niger State, Umar Bago, met in Abuja over the incident involving NAF helicopter that crashed in Badna village, Shiroro local government area. At least 20 soldiers were killed in an ambush by bandits along the Zungeru-Tegina Road in Niger State late Sunday night. 53 bandits were reportedly killed in the encounter. Speaking during the meeting, the governor, who first ordered that a minute silence be observed for the departed souls, charged the Air Force officer and the entire military not to be deterred by the actions of non-state actors. On his part, the Air Chief said measures have been put in place to ensure such incident does not happen again, adding that incidents like that cannot be totally ruled out. Now moving on, the federal government has applied to withdraw the illegal possession of firearms charge it filed against suspended Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele at the Federal High Court in Lagos. Justice Nicholas Owebo had on July 25th admitted Emefiele to a 20 million naira bail on a 2-count charge of illegal possession of firearms and ammunition and ordered his remand at the Ikoyi Correctional Center pending the fulfillment of his bail conditions. Emefiele was, however, rearrested by operatives of the Department of State Services. The report.
At the resumed hearing on Tuesday, the defense legal team asked courts to dismiss the application to withdraw the charges because the prosecution disobeyed the court's order granting the defendants bail. The Director of Public Prosecutions at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Muhammad Abubakar, said its decision to withdraw the charges is informed by emerging facts and circumstances of the case, which requires further investigation.
So we're withdrawing pending further investigation, at the end of which we'll probably come back with more charges, more counts.
Counsel for Emefiele, Joseph Daudu San, responded that such a request under sections 174, subsection 1 and 3 of the Nigerian Constitution cannot be made orally, but through a formal application that must demonstrate the public interest, the interest of justice, and the need to prevent abuse of legal system.
Of an order that says you can go to your house and sleep. Which will you take? We don't care about access. We are not asking for access. We are saying that the Nigerian laws must be obeyed. And if the courts in this country give an order, God forbid the day that court orders will be subject to interpretation of every subordinate agency. It will then get to the point that a police corporal will say, is it not the same court that the other people are disobeying? And when a man is in two fighting and the magistrate says he should go home, he will decide to say, no, you cannot go. So it starts from this level. If it can be done at this level and it is not attended to, then it will spread to the bottom and it will be a lawless society.
The DPP told reporters that Emefiele is facing a 20-count charge in the FCT High Court. Abubakar explained that there were administrative procedures the DSS had to follow before transferring a detainee to another agency, which caused a delay in the agency's compliance with the court order.
The first issue of access is not true. He has unfettered access to his lawyers, his relatives, his friends at all times. On the matter of disobedience, we are not in disobedience of the court order. When the court rendered its ruling granting the defendant bail, it was in two legs. It was granted bail and to be remanded in the custody of the correctional service pending fulfillment of bail conditions.
The judge adjourned the case till Thursday, August 17th, to rule on the application.
The Senior Magistrate Court 3B, Ungwandaji, Mina, Niger State, has remanded a 55-year-old Ya'u Ibrahim of Kundu Village, Rafi local government area of the state in Mina, Old Correctional Center, till September 11 for allegedly raping and infecting a 6-year-old girl with sexually transmitted disease. The police prosecutor, Inspector Aliyu Yakubu, told the court that on August 3rd, one Abdullahi Dauda of the same village reported at Kagara Police Division that the suspect lured his 6-year-old daughter, who is currently in primary 1, to his room and had unlawful intercourse with her. Inspector Yakubu also told the court that the little girl sustained injuries on her private part, leading to severe bleeding. He said the offence contravened Section 26, subsection 2, Section 27, subsection 2 of the Child Rights and Protection Law, Niger State 2021, as amended. When the charges were read by the magistrate, Hafsat Abdullahi, the suspect pleaded guilty, saying that he was seduced by the little girl after he sent her to help him buy sachet water when he came back from his farm. The prosecution prayed the court to summarily try the suspect, but the presiding magistrate, Hafsat Abdullahi, overruled a summary trial, averring that it wouldn't serve the justice to the victim. The magistrate said more witnesses were required, even though the suspect had confessed, and ordered for his remand while the case was adjourned till September 11, 2023 for hearing. And with that, we move on to politics, where former governor of Rivers State and minister-designate Nyesom Wike on Tuesday visited the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, in Abuja. Wike, a member of the People's Democratic Party, but who walked against its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar in the 2023 election, had repeatedly denied plotting to join the ruling APC. The Senate had last Monday confirmed the nomination of Wike and 44 others as ministers. Speculations of him dumping the opposition PDP gained momentum after he made President Bola Tinubu's cabinet. PDP leaders have expressed displeasure over this and mauled the move to sanction the former Rivers State governor. The Northern Elders Forum has kicked against the use of force to restore constitutional order in Niger Republic. This, according to the forum, will compound the security and humanitarian crisis in ECOWAS. The convener of the Northern Elders Forum, Ango Abdullahi, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja on Tuesday. The statement, signed and read by the Director of Publicity and Advocacy of the Forum, Hakim Baba Ahmed, also stated that the safety of President Bazoum and his family and restoration of the constitutional order must remain non-negotiable priorities. He also used the opportunity to charge African leaders to improve the quality of elections and governance so that Africans can value and defend democracy in Africa with greater vigor.
The safety of President Bazoum and his family and restoration of the constitutional order must remain non-negotiable priorities. The military leaders in Niger must accord due cognizance and respect for the position of ECOWAS, whose fundamental principles and goals Niger Republic submitted to. Active negotiations regarding President Bazoum and the plans of the military leadership in Niger should commence immediately. Nigeria is uniquely placed to engage the leadership of Niger Republic to accept these with minimum of delay. Nigeria should remove all sanctions and measures intended to force the government of the people of Niger into acquiescence. This will make negotiations led by Nigeria, using all assets that both countries value, easier to conduct. The Forum notes the apology offered by the military leaders in Niger to our president over the manner his envoys, General Abdulsalami Abubakar and His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto, were received. It advises that this should be treated as a sign of respect and esteem with which Nigeria and President Tinubu are held by the pushes which should not be wasted. The use of force against Niger should be ruled out. It is unlikely to achieve the goals of restoring the constitutional order and improving the frontiers of democratic systems in West Africa. It will compound the security and humanitarian crises in the West ECOWAS region. It is likely to weaken and further divide the ECOWAS and provide greater access of non-African interests into the lives of Africans with negative consequences. The ECOWAS should actively reassess the roles and designs of African interests in the West African region. In addition to multiple threats from armed groups in the Sahel and the region, we are becoming increasingly victims of global military maneuvers and a scramble for our assets. Ordinary Africans understand this, and they resent another wave of exploitation of our weakness and our resources by parts of the world who have little respect for Africa. African leaders must improve the quality of elections and governance so that African people can value and defend democracy with greater vigor.
The need to amplify the voices of the youth and forge opportunities for collaborative policy making that will promote the ideals of the youth was the focus of a dialogue in Abuja. The dialogue is part of activities commemorating the 2023 International Youth Day held annually. Noel Sampson has more.
From time immemorial, the position and role of the Nigerian youth in the social, economic and political development of the country has been that of a prime mover. This is because the youths are vital instruments in repositioning the nation's economy, hence the need for youth leadership and development.
AYGF over the years has engaged in different systems, processes and strategies to facilitate youth development, from the point of working with government, ministries at state level, at federal level, and even at local government level in many occasions to mainstream these development conversations, particularly around young people.
For instance, if by the year 2023, because of the unemployment nature in the country, that about 5,000 youths are to undergo training on fisheries, that is the Ministry of Agric, or on poultry, that is the Ministry of Agric. What we do, we make sure that we work in collaboration with them. The ministries of Agric will organize programs like that, by training our young people on how to go about doing the fishery or how to go about doing the poultry.
There's been quite a lot of interest around youth involvement, but I think this will continue to remain a dream if we don't take actionable steps for how we take this forward. And so we come here with an open mind. We didn't come here with any set agenda for what we want to come out of this conversation. We have deliberately and carefully selected the delegates in this event. These are youth leaders doing very well in their chosen fields of endeavor. So we want to hear from them what those policy constraints are.
The point we are making here is that they have struggled since independence to locate themselves within important structures for decision making, where they can contribute to decisions that affect their present and their future.
Some youths highlighted key areas they want the government to address in order to aid their leadership and development in the country.
The amount of protocol young people would have to go through to achieve certain things is so long that sometimes you get lethargic at some point and you just move. So it's to just make things easy, also to demystify the policies, because another problem I find particularly is that some policies are very, very encrypted to the point where you cannot even make sense out of it.
The government is not willing to give ears to the youth. So I feel like one of the most important things the government can do to help the youth is to actually pay attention to them and give opportunities for them to actually explore.
Youths play a vital role in nation building by bringing social reform within the country and determine the future of a nation. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
President Bola Tinubu has given assurances that prices of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, will not increase despite challenges in the foreign exchange market. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, revealed this to newsmen at State House Abuja on Tuesday. According to Ngelale, the president believes the current pricing can be maintained without reversing the present deregulation policy. Kende Amodu reports.
The consolidated financial statements of the Central Bank of Nigeria have revealed a debt of $7.5 billion to American banks JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, and a further $6.3 billion owed in foreign currency in the financial year ended December 2022. The debt profile could set the country's credit rating on a freefall, but has also left Nigeria with insufficient funds in the coffers to defend the naira against the dollar. Independent petroleum marketers are forced to source foreign exchange from the black market and are pushing for an increase in pump prices of PMS. But President Tinubu believes that adjustments can still be made by swiftly cleaning up existing inefficiencies within the midstream and downstream petroleum sector.
Mr. President wishes to assure Nigerians, following the announcement by the NNPC Limited just yesterday, that there will be no increase in the pump price of petroleum motor spirit anywhere in the country. We repeat, the President affirms that there will be no increase in the pump price of petroleum motor spirit. It is going to be available to everybody, all right, is the Presidential Daily Brief. This is what the NNPC supplies to the President directly for his personal viewing on a morning-by-morning basis. And he's releasing it to the public this morning for the sake of full disclosure and because he wants Nigerians to ensure that there's no need for panic at this time. We have enough fuel to supply the country. The country is wet with products and it will continue to be so.
Does this mean fuel subsidy will be reversed as it was done recently in Kenya? Apparently not, as President Tinubu believes pump prices can be maintained without jettisoning subsidy.
We also wish to affirm that the President is determined to maintain competitive tension within all subsectors of the petroleum industry. He is determined to ensure that our policy drawn up as well as policy implemented follows the cue that there will not be any single one entity dominating the market.
The President's reluctance to increase cost of fuel is obviously in response to hardships on Nigerians occasioned by the last hike in the value of PMS and the threats by organized labor to shut the country down if prices are increased further. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Vaccine provision and awareness creation for the public have been described as a major boost in childhood immunization. Director Public Health in Nasarawa State Ministry of Health stated this while speaking on the effectiveness and sustainability of childhood immunization in the society. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The challenge of zero or missed doses in childhood immunization remains one of the key issues affecting effective immunization, as statistics say 22.7 million children are estimated to have zero or missed doses globally. Out of the figure, an estimated 3.1 million or 14% reside in Nigeria. People who fall in this category are often disadvantaged due to poverty, conflict and lack of access to basic health services, and remain vulnerable to vaccine-preventable diseases. To ensure the effectiveness and sustainability of childhood immunization, there is need for orientation and vaccines provisions at appropriate time and locations.
It does not make sense to only create awareness. You also need to provide the vaccines. Because if I know about the vaccine and I come to the point of service delivery and the vaccines are not there, then it's a missed opportunity. So we also need to have the vaccines at the various service delivery points for our people, from primary, secondary and tertiary health facilities, particularly in the primary healthcare facilities. And then lastly, we need to have the healthcare providers that are skilled, that are knowledgeable and that are interested in providing these services. So if we can have these three covered, awareness, provision of the commodities and the healthcare workers, then we'll have been able to cover all the bases and make vaccines available to prevent and protect our children.
He explained that if vaccines are effective and sustained, it goes a long way in ensuring healthy children and while reducing the burden of medical expenses on parents.
Benefits are actually multifactorial, okay? So the very simple benefit is that children will not fall sick. So if you are vaccinated against measles, you will not get measles. If you are vaccinated against diphtheria, you will not get diphtheria. So if you don't get the disease, so your life is preserved, because some of these diseases are fatal. They can come with death. So your life is preserved. Secondly, the cost of treatment is also eliminated for you, because once you are vaccinated, you will not get the disease, and then of course treatment is you will not spend money to treat. So finances of the family is protected.
He maintained that regular childhood immunization also reduces the burden on health facilities in the community.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, time to unwind during a long school vacation. Do stay.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. We told you that, again, bandits abduct unspecified number in Zamfara as governor seeks increased military presence. You also heard that federal government seeks dismissal of illegal firearm possession charges against suspended CBN governor. Moving to more stories, International Organization for Migration is working with other stakeholders to mitigate the impact of violent conflict occasioned by banditry and communal clashes in the Nigeria's northwest region. Among other things, the project is aimed at promoting community reconciliation in Katsina State. The project, in collaboration with Center for Democracy and Development, will be executed in 4 pilot local government areas of Jibia, Batsari, Musa and Kankara, worst hit by activities of banditry in the state. Abdullahi Yamadi completes the report.
The IOM Chief of Mission, Laurent de Berg, said from the data obtained by the organization as at October 2022, conflicts have risen since 2014. These have affected a population of over 1 million people, out of which 29% have been displaced in Katsina State alone. The 3 partners and EU, with the support of Nigeria and Katsina State governments, are to implement a comprehensive program to mitigate conflicts and promote community reconciliation.
Our consortium looks forward to work with you, with the people of Katsina, and to make sure that we support the government with the inclusive peace-building processes to support the implementation of community responses against violence.
He said the main objective of the program is to reduce community violence, promote locally driven peace initiatives, and mitigate conflict over natural resources in northwest Nigeria.
IOM has a long-standing experience in building peace and reconciliation worldwide. Since 1951, when we have been created, the organization has supported governments and population all over the world to cope with displacement, instability, and mobility issues. In Katsina, we are very happy to partner with 2 reliable partners, the Center for Democracy and Development and Mercy Corps, whose reputation and know-how are essential to bring a joint access to success.
Accordingly, the project will also focus on community structures, promote social transformation, peaceful coexistence, natural resource management, mental health and psychological support to victims of human rights violation. Governor Diko Umar Rada, represented by Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs Nasiru Muazu Musa, acknowledges that Katsina State has been battling with multifaceted security challenges with little resources to tackle it all.
It is a serious issue. And look at, out of 34 local governments, 19 local governments are also into this crisis. So believe you me, we need more support. We need more collaboration. We need more input. We need to be, to be carried along, taking into cognizance of this, the enormity of the crisis.
Katsina residents say the project is a welcome development, hence the need for other development partners and all other relevant stakeholders to join hands in bringing to an end the numerous security challenges facing the state. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Operatives of the Kano State Road and Traffic Agency have clashed with tricycle riders along the Zaria-Kano Road, leaving commuters stranded and touts attacking people indiscriminately. 2 persons have been allegedly injured while passers-by scampered for safety. Eyewitnesses explained that a team of Karota operatives dragged an errant tricycle rider who refused to comply, leading to altercation which left a passenger injured and the tricycle damaged. Shortly after, tricycle riders stormed Karota office adjacent to the scene of the incident, leading to an ugly exchange between the 2 parties. Tricycle riders and Karota operatives have been at loggerheads with each other over alleged high-handedness of Karota officials against the riders. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf changed the leadership of the agency in an effort to reposition the agency and bring changes to its operations. When contacted, Karota spokesman Nabilusi Abubakar Kofar Naisa confirmed the incident, saying that police have been informed and they are investigating the matter. It has become a norm that with the long holidays comes summer school, where pupils are sent to take lessons while the schools is on long vacation. Jimmy Adzande speaks to Makudi residents who expressed divergent opinions on summer school. The report.
To school administrators and educationists, the summer school is a make-up period for pupils who are slow learners or who easily forget what they have learned during the regular school period.
Some parents, not because they are lazy, but because they felt maybe their children did not do well in the past exams, going to another class, and they feel the summer lesson will aid the children instead of keeping them home, and that is why they enroll them. Not totally because they are lazy or they cannot take care of their children or they don't have time for their children, but they feel that it's another way where the parents are a little bit lacking. They should the teachers should help them to put the children up to date.
Others, however, said the summer school is supposed to be a time for extracurricular activities and nothing more.
The perspective of the parents, parents have so many engagements, and during the holidays, find it difficult for someone who will stay with children at home. They find it easier that they should stay under that kind of controlled environment. That's on one part. From the part of those who are engaged in summer school activities is for economic, motives. The idea of summer schools is not supposed to be the way it is now. At this time, children should be exposed to extracurricular activities, maybe visit places where they can have, they can take rest and have some forms of recreation. Not the kind of formal schooling as they were during, the term.
To some, it is overworking the young learners who should rest like every normal human being.
For me, there's no basis for summer school. The students are supposed to study for a term and then rest. And so where is the rest? When the students, the pupils or the students are on holiday and you are calling them for summer school, because they're supposed to refresh themselves and be ready for another session of their educational career. If a child is good, whether he goes to summer school or whatever, it can still be good.
Either way, summer school has come to stay. The good thing is that enlisting one's wealth is voluntary. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Price of potatoes have increased in Jos, the Plateau State capital, where it is largely produced. Potato sellers in the state told Trust TV that fuel price increase, high cost of fertilizer and potato blight are among factors responsible for the hike. Ado Musa completes the report.
Plateau is potato producing state in Nigeria and produces large quantity of the product. During rainy period, mostly between June and September, many households in the state buy potatoes in large quantity because of its availability and affordability. But this year, however, potato dealers say the price of the product is very high, even though it is harvesting season when the price is expected to go down. This time last year, a bag was sold at 12,000 naira, as a bag is sold 25 or 26,000 naira this year. The price of the potato this year is very high, especially now. Last year, the product was very cheap, but it is a different story this year because farmers are complaining about high cost of fertilizer. I remember this time last year, we supplied the product to the market in large quantity because it was cheap and available, and customers did come to buy. Every year is coming with a different challenge, but this year's experience is a difficult one. The potato itself is not produced sufficiently this year. Crisis, high cost of farm inputs, and inadequate rainfall have affected the production of the product. Any farmer who calculates how much they will get or spend, and if realizes that it is not profitable, he will not cultivate. The product is expensive now. Some of the reasons include the recent experience of potato blight, which discouraged some farmers to cultivate this year. The high cost of fertilizer has also prevented some farmers to go to the farm and the recent increase in pump price. For now, the potato dealers are recording low patronage because of the price hike, and they said unless government intervenes, the price will continue to rise. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
The National Bureau of Statistics has stated that the headline inflation rate for the month of July 2023 increased to 24.08% compared to 22.79% recorded in June 2023. NBS in a report said the rise represented an increase of 1.29 percentage points from the June 2023 headline inflation. The report stated that the increase in the headline index for July 2023 was attributed to an increase in contributions of some items in the basket of goods and services at the divisional level. NBS said these increases were witnessed in food and non-alcoholic beverages, which was at 12.47%, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuel at 4.03%, clothing and footwear 1.84%, transport 1.57%, furnishings and household equipment and maintenance 1.21%, education 0.95%, and health 0.72%. Others are miscellaneous goods and services at 0.40%, restaurants and hotels 0.29%, alcoholic beverages, tobacco and cola 0.26%, recreation and culture 0.17%, and communication at 0.16%. The report showed that food component sub-index increased by 26.98% on a year-on-year basis, which was 4.97% points higher relative to the rate recorded in June 2022, which was at 22.02%. For all items less farm produce, its figures stood at 20.47% in July 2023 on a year-on-year basis. There have been concerns over divestment by multinational companies from Nigeria over the years. The most recent company to announce its intention to exit Nigeria is GlaxoSmithKline, a pharmaceutical company that has operated in Nigeria for the past 51 years. In this report, Yusuf Akogu highlights reasons why these companies close shop and sometimes move to neighboring countries. The report.
No doubt, Nigeria is a very attractive market to invest in Africa due to its large population and demography. But in recent times, many multinational companies have sold their assets and left the country. Notable amongst them are Trustworth, Etisalat, ExxonMobil, Tiger Brand, HSBC and UBS, and many more. Economists are of the views that some companies are leaving Nigeria largely because of volatility in the foreign exchange market. They believe that most companies are finding it very difficult to access foreign currencies to import goods and machineries required for their operations.
Their major raw material for production are purely imported. So when exchange rate is not adding up in terms of what they should do and what the price is based on the limitation, elasticity of demand or price elasticity of the product they are selling, then they have no option other than to close. And in economics, when you're unable to cover your average variable cost, then such organization is advised strictly to close.
A recent announcement by GlaxoSmithKline, the British multinational pharmaceutical and biotechnology company, to end its 51 years existence in the country after the company's first office was opened in Lagos on July 1, 1972, is sending signals that all is not well with the country's business environment.
The environment is not right. All of the things that we are seeing is a function of the environment. Monetary policy is also not helpful. Inflation is eating the value of revenue from people. Their income is getting reduced in the real terms. And more importantly, the value of the cost of importation to Nigeria is also getting really high. So government, we need to take decision, look at what the problem is and start providing solutions. one after the other, so that Nigeria will be the most desirable place for people to live in.
But the federal government said it is making efforts to stabilize the economy in a way that will attract foreign investors through policies and programs being introduced.
Plans and strategies which I'm not at liberty to share with you means sooner rather than later the speculators should be careful, because we believe the things we're doing, when they come to fruition, may result in significant losses to them.
Analysts want the government to create an enabling environment for multinationals to repatriate proceeds to their home countries after successful business transactions in Nigeria. Yusuf Akogu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
Now moving on to more stories. The federal government has dissolved the Advertising Standard Panel due to its endorsement of billboards accused of attempting to manipulate the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal with the slogan, "All Eyes on the Judiciary." The Director General of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, Dr. Olalekan Fadolapo, conveyed the dissolution of the panel through a statement issued on Tuesday. The panel, statutory within the council, is tasked with ensuring that advertisements adhere to the prevailing laws of the Federation and the Code of Ethics of Advertising Professionals. The ARCON Director General said the council would set up a committee to investigate the circumstances leading to the erroneous approval of one of the concepts of the advert and the breach of the vetting guidelines. The statement said the Advertising Standards Panel Secretariat that failed to diligently exercise its functions as the gatekeeper of the advertisements and marketing communications is dissolved. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. We'll be right back.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Residents of Lagos State have been reacting to the Court of Appeals ruling overturning judgments granting exclusive rights to local governments to conduct statutory marriages in the country. In Lagos, Victoria Tokolo, who sampled the opinion of Nigerians on the recent increase in registry marriages and issuance of marriage certificates in the country following the recent judgment, brings us more.
Some residents of Lagos, while reacting to the appeal court ruling extending the powers to conduct registry marriages and issuing out certificates to couples, to appeal courts spoke on why some couples prefer registry-conducted unions than those in religious or traditional places of worship.
Prefer going to registry because of the the certificates being given, and a lot of us, a lot of people are just trying to fly away or travel out. They need certificate for marriages. I believe from federal government to local government, it will be much easier for the certificate to be given. Because we have registry under the local government, we have up to the states and the federal. So when it's equally distributed, it will solve a lot of issues.
When you go to religion house for marriage, that is to get a pastoral blessing as a Christian. Then when you go to registry for marriage, either local government, which is common, is for government registration that we are married together under the law. and heart of government. That is why people go to, that people go for registry. So it's just for documentation's sake. But the real marriage itself is endorsement of both parties, parents, the groom's family, the wife's family, and putting their consent in the union of the two people. That is a marriage.
Others are of the opinion that local government issuing certificate of marriages is an encouragement for people, especially youths, to leave the country. This, they say, is because most Nigerian youths who are leaving the country do so on the basis of marriages to foreign spouses.
The reason is that they are doing it by law. Even people prefer that one. It's safe course. It's safe course because go to registry, just go with your maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of your family. Some people, after doing that one, they are okay. Instead of doing flamboyant wedding, calling about thousands of people. I don't even understand it, if you get me. So doing that one, I think it's safe course.
Lagos President, however, urged the local and federal government to cancel will-be couples before issuing them certificates to reduce the rate of divorces in the country.
Let's now join Chamunda Bank for business news.
Nigeria's food inflation rate for July 2023 rose to 26.98%, up 4.97% from the rate of 22.02% recorded in June 2022. According to the National Bureau of Statistics research, price rises in oil and fat, bread and cereals, fish, potatoes, yams and other tubers, fruits, meats, vegetables, milk, cheese and eggs were to blame for the increase in the food index on an annual basis. Similar to this, the food inflation rate increased month over month in July 2023, rising from 2.4% to 3.45%, representing a 1.06 percentage point increase. For the 12 months ending July 2023, the average annual rate of food inflation over the prior 12-month average was 24.46%, up 5.71 percentage points from 18.75% recorded in July 2022. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the average cost of bus travel within Nigerian cities increased from 649 naira 59 kobo in May 2023 to 1,285 naira 41 kobo in June 2023 as the pump price of premium motor spirit increased. This indicates that during a single month, the price of intra-city bus transit increased by 98% or 636 naira. Figures were derived from the NBS's June 2023 Transport Fare Watch report. It claimed that when compared year over year, bus prices increased by 120.63% from the 582 naira 61 kobo the travelers paid in June 2022. The average fare for commuters on interstate buses each increased to 5,686 naira 49 kobo in June 2023 from 4,002 naira 16 kobo in May 2023, representing a 42.09% increase on a month-on-month basis. One of the domestic airlines in the country, Max Air, has once again ceased operations around 2 weeks after starting up again. It was discovered that the suspension was imposed on it by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, for failing to rectify some of the deficiencies found in the airline's most recent audit. In relation to the operation of the Boeing 737 aircraft type, the NCAA had already in June suspended parts A3 and D43 with immediate effect. Multiple potentially fatal incidents with vintage Boeing B737 airlines led to the suspension. After the NCAA's initial airline audit was finished, the airline declared that it would resume operations on Sunday, July 30th, 2023. However, around 2 weeks later, the NCAA imposed a new restriction on the airline, stranding hundreds of its passengers across the nation. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Away from Nigeria, regional military and political sources say military chiefs from the Economic Community of West African States will meet in Ghana on Thursday and Friday to discuss a possibly military intervention in Niger. The meeting was called after the bloc's leaders last week approved the deployment of a standby force to restore constitutional order in Niger, whose elected president was toppled by the military on July 26. And with that, we move on to sports with Adeni Ajishafe.
The 2023-2024 Nigerian Premier Football League season kickoff date has been postponed. The NPFL season earlier scheduled for 26 August has now been fixed for between September 8 to 10, 2023. League organizers said the postponement is due to logistics to ensure a hitch-free competition. Meanwhile, the draw ceremony for the new season will hold in Lagos on Thursday as teams gear up to begin the new season. And still in NPFL, Nigerian Premier Football League has announced a 9-member technical committee that will select NPFL Team of the Month. The Team of the Month will be made up of 11 players and a coach with room for reserves that will complete a squad of 18. Gbenga Elegbeleye, chairman of the NPFL board, said the decision is to create aspirational value for the players and coaches. The committee is headed by NPFL board member and former international Daniel Amokachi, with respected journalists Michel Obi, Shegun Agbede, and Deji Omozuimbo. Other members of the committee include NFF technical director Austin Eguavoin, coach Manu Gaba, Harrison Jala, coach Godwin Uwa, and Davidson Adejuwon. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.